Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode number 67 of the WADcast. Writers, actors, directors, and every spot on a set between to help you bring the movie and television magic. I am Josh, joined as always by the brothers from another show. Kente and Brandon, what's up, guys?
Not much. Just curious as to why your camera's not on.
Yeah.
Because my camera doesn't work.
What's up with
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah, I was sending him a camera, but it came to me instead, so I apologize for that.
Went to the wrong house.
Yeah, but
Wow.
hopefully,
So in the
by-
meantime,
Nope.
I get to enjoy the show sans clothing as usual. But joining us here tonight is our very, very special guest, Henry R Nader.
Hello.
Henry, what's
covers-
up, buddy?
All three of the dubs, writer, actor, director. So fitting that he's joining us here tonight to talk about his new short film, disUnity, which I enjoyed very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, full disclosure, I'm in it a little bit. So
You're the
let's,
star, man.
okay, technically a star,
The star,
but-
that's
you know, tonight's not about me like every other night. Tonight's about talking to Henry. So
okay.
let's first ask how you doing, Henry.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm hanging in there.
Last time you were here, we got into a lot of history about what inspired you, what drives you to do what you do. You've directed 2 feature films and now a short.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to since the last time we spoke on the show, mind you? Because
Oh, well, yeah. I wrote the short and threw it together, and we made that happen, which was pretty fun. I've been working on some painting and some writing, stuff like that. You know, it was kind of just doing what I usually do. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's
Working
it.
on are you working on any features or?
Yeah, I've got a feature that I'm working on. I'm kind of off and on with it as far as writing goes, but I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping I can make it happen. It's kind of moderately budgeted. I have a few of those pie in the sky scripts that I've written that I'd love to have, millions of dollars thrown behind. But I think strategically speaking, this may very well be the next feature. And I don't want to go into exactly what it's about or its working title or anything like that. But it's pretty cool stuff. And
Okay.
it's chugging along, and I just started a new short, which I'm pretty excited about, and that may very well be the very next thing that I do. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see.
Okay. Nice.
all right.
so
Well,
there
we
was
just-
there was a pivot, from doing short films or from doing features to a short film. That's quite the change in pace
Oh, well,
as far
yeah,
as workload.
First off, of course, it's totally in reverse of what normal people do. They'll make a few short films and then finally do a feature. For some reason, I just skipped the short film thing and went straight to the feature. Did that a couple of times and drove myself crazy with it. But I'll tell you what, doing the short film was fun. It was just enough work and not too much. And something about that kind of kept it feeling fresh and exciting. And I think that comes across in the material, hopefully. Not that there's anything wrong with the features or I have anything against them, but, perhaps muscle memory looking back at all the work, all the editing and, Foley and everything, music. Yeah. So.
We just got done watching your short. I liked it, and like I said while we were watching it in the beginning, there's a scene where Josh is cutting up some food, and he cuts in a potato, and he says this potato is cooked.
Right.
And I am so not used to watching Josh act, let alone while we were in our pre-show phase. So him saying this potato is cooked, despite me watching it, I almost called out Josh. This is like, what the hell potato are you talking about? Of course it's cooked. Like, why would you eat a raw potato? Then I realized I was watching a short film and now I'm a moron. So,
But to be fair to Brandon, we saw Josh do several things we never thought we'd see. We saw him do yard work.
yeah,
Look,
yeah.
we saw him with a hot girl. So
Yeah,
Very
Things
shocking.
I sacrifice for the art.
that mannequin. Tell you.
Yeah. You got her number?
Yeah, well, no, she's in my shed right now. She's in the backyard in the shed.
I do
cold
believe that
It's cold. We're just walking dressed up.
Henry, if you could
Listen.
amen me on this, one of the things that I absolutely insisted on was that my female co-star be absolutely treated with the utmost respect,
Oh yeah. Oh certainly. Yeah.
because I don't, I'm not a Weinstein, so
No. It was written in the contract that you guys beat me up. That was part of it.
mhm.
Beat the
Well,
director.
listen. I'm sure the mannequin is not in the corner because no one puts mannequin in the corner. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, she's gonna release a memoir in about 10 years saying Josh did something in her trailer. So just be on the lookout for that.
No,
Josh.
You silly, silly boys.
I don't think so.
Now, if we could get back on track, one of the
Certainly.
things that we saw in the short film, by the way, disUnity, I'm going to go ahead and throw that link in the chat. That way, if anybody feels like, giving it a look-see, we'll be able
Please do.
to field some comments about it at some
I'm
point.
on Vimeo.com. There we go, right there.
All right.
We saw some exercises in stop motion.
Yes.
Tell us about that, especially the process, because it seems like it's hard work.
Wow. Yeah, it really was. So you get about 17 seconds of stop motion animation, and that was actually shot on film, stop motion animation. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, perhaps. And yeah, I built the set. I built the spider. Lighting it, I probably took 3 days worth of work. And then the actual session itself, I put on a Tom Waits album and just like the whole night practically to get that one 17-second clip. Chain smoking a cigar in the back shed. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun time, but a lot of work. So I don't know that I recommend it, but there's something about it. There is really something about when you see the final result and you get that kind of analog effect. I love it. I mean, there's types of things that I grew up with. Sure, it could have been done in CG or whatever. But yeah.
Well, see, out of curiosity, filming your short in Florida. Now, I know we briefly got into this when we had you on a little while back here. But when you're filming in Florida, what kind of things do you have to do you have to deal with any permits, just for people that have not had you on our show before? And those of our listeners that are not familiar, Josh and I do not Kent and I live in the same area. We both live in LA County. Josh lives in Jacksonville, Florida, my hometown, and so does our awesome guest here with that short. And in LA, filming anything, you have to do everything.
Right.
Even if you're in your own home, you have to have a permit.
Oh wow.
No, it's people don't do it, but it's
right.
You are well within reason to be shut down if you're filming in your house by law in Los Angeles. At least I don't know about other counties. And you do not have a filming
you're friendly
permit.
with your neighbors, right?
Yep. And on top of that, even in your neighborhood, it could be a private gated community. You could be friends with whoever, but they can still shut your film down.
Wow.
But on top of that, permits out here per location per day is, I believe, Kente, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there's $600 per permit per location per day.
Okay.
So I don't know what kind of things you would have to go through when you film in Florida, which is why I'm asking. So.
Well,
plus insurance and all that stuff. We have to have everything. Everything has to be taken care of, all the stuff. So
I'll say that you can get away with guerrilla style down here in Florida. I think that they're tightening that up a bit, and I think that I would recommend doing less and less of that, if any. Yeah, we could certainly film in our home. So wow, that's pretty insane.
So are they actually getting more strict with filming out on location in public areas?
I think if it's a big production, you're going to run into problems like that. We did not. We really didn't have that issue with the exchange. Still a few shots here and there, but for the most part, it was done on location at our line producer's house. He had a place out in Middleburg, and there were a couple of places we just kind of crashed and got a few shots. But
Okay.
yeah, we mostly had it like it was privately owned, and somebody that was involved in the film. And disUnity was for the most part, I guess, except for the beach scene. So yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about casting. What made you cast our boy here, Josh?
Well, we were talking about it on the last podcast that we did. It just kind of came up, and I think it was just we were joking around at the time. Like I forget what was said, but it was whatever. How about you cast me in it? And I was like, yeah, sure. Maybe that wasn't exactly it. I'm not totally sure. But,
You see, you never know until you ask.
Yeah, if only Hollywood looked like that.
I kind of thought about it and started thinking about as a challenge just to write this thing. Not that it was much of a challenge, but mostly just fun, a fun exercise. And yeah. So we, that was it. It just felt right. The magic.
See, if only Hollywood worked like that with actors. Hey, Judd Apatow can be in your next film. Sure. Like, cool.
Wait a minute, it doesn't work like that?
Right, yeah. Maybe,
well, if you're
maybe not in big industrial type films like the big money making films with the union style of filmmaking. But yeah, I mean, I think like if you look at the Coen brothers or if you look at Wes Anderson, maybe they have more of that kind of film family sort of thing going on, where it's like, oh yeah. These are our buddies, so you're just coming along, and I don't know. That's an interesting discussion there. I think, just that versus working with more challenging actors and pushing yourself more, and everything being super uncomfortable versus this sort of like familial kind of vibe on the set, and everybody just knowing each other and being friends, and there being no friction.
Adam Sandler is literally making a career of it.
Yeah, I mean, and who's to say which one's better? I mean, I guess it depends what kind of a film you're trying to make.
I don't think the Sandman is too concerned about how good it is. That's the only unfortunate thing. But you just get the feeling that every couple years he calls up his buddies, Chris Rock, Kevin James,
sure,
Steve Buscemi, Rob Schneider, and it's like, guys, let's go on vacation together and get paid.
Right.
So they make a movie.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, grown-ups,
and then there's
right?
chemistry. Then there's chemistry with people who are just friends and love to work with each other. So, yeah.
Now,
okay.
When it comes to short films, they're often looked at as the bastard stepchild of the film industry. And in a lot of ways aren't taken super seriously. Yeah, we got a couple of Oscar categories, right, that honor the short film. But when it comes to, average viewer, the, average Joe guy on the street, I can virtually guarantee you, if you ask him to name like one short film, it would be a struggle. Well, why is that?
Lord of the Rings.
Well, I think short films are becoming more popular, though, especially in the wake of COVID, because people needed entertainment, or desired entertainment, and where things were shut down, areas like YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, streaming services, whatever, they were up and running. And if you look at some of these short films, like you have the what do you call it? You have the short film sites on YouTube. Okay, you have plenty of them, and their like memberships and their viewers and everything else are in the millions. So it's just like, I mean, I think they're becoming much more popular now and getting more respected, especially if you think about franchises alone that were started off of a short film. And we discussed this before, but Saw was based off of a short film. The entire first film, and that spawned an entire franchise, right? Lights Out was based off a short film that cost the guy, I think, $40 to make.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite, yeah.
Now,
So-
Brandon, you want to check in with the chat real quick? I got one of the comments up on the
Do I
screen
want
there.
to? Okay. Okay, so first off, Robert Brooker. Greetings and salutations, most excellent people. You know, what's up, man? How you doing? Goliath Flores, do you all feel bad about making something that takes so much work?
I know that guy. Hey, Goliath.
It takes so much work and time, and in a world where people chew it and shit it out like 2 weeks. No. Oh, do we feel bad? Okay, look, no, not remotely. And I love filmmaking, but damn it takes a lot of work and time. Well, you see, the thing is people may, like, the world may or may not get behind what you make. And it's really, there's an old saying, and it's like my personal philosophy that I live by. Other people's opinions about me or my work is none of my business. Like, if I make something, it's because I really wanted to make it. Like Josh, Bad Agent, we made a short out of that.
Yeah.
And one good thing about Bad Agent is that I was, Josh had pretty much at that point all but given up on writing. And by me doing that, that also got him encouraged to get back into writing. So I was happy that something came of that. Even if nothing else ever comes of it, I got my writing partner back. So there's that. But yeah, so I mean, it's, the world's always going to shit on anything. Hell, look at people posting positive messages about life, giving encouragement to people that are struggling. You have people that are shitting on those people. So you know what? It's really, people are going to hate on you regardless. Might as well just get ready for it. So, and that work and time they put behind it, when you're done, that work and time is awesome once you see what you put into it. So,
Why should I have a nice day? You can't tell me what to do. What about you? What about you, Henry?
What about me? What happened? What?
In a world where people just chew things up and spit them out, as Goliath says, how does it make you feel to know that your work is just in the zeitgeist so quickly? It doesn't matter how big you are as a company. I mean, look at Marvel. They make the biggest movies in the world, right? Nobody's talking about Shang-Chi 2 weeks after it comes out. And
still haven't seen it.
The internet is either going to love it or take a dump on it.
Yeah.
So how does it feel?
It's
knowing that
okay.
there's
I mean,
people out there?
other people's opinions are fine. It's okay to think whatever you want to think. I do think that there's a lot of bad mental health out there, and people just wanting to kind of tear into each other because it's easier than making your own film, than making your own story, than writing your own book or creating your own path. You know, that's really where the energy should be placed. But
Absolutely.
most of the time, it's better to just kind of, tear into someone else.
All right,
And I
going
think
back
that
to the-
hopefully people will get a grip on that eventually and become better. I don't know. Don't know that I have.
well,
any
we can hope
confidence
that
in
more positive attitudes can emerge in the coming years. After all, the internet it takes me back to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Oh.
The internet is where people go to bitch about movies.
Yep.
Well, yeah. And again, it's easier to kind of destroy something that someone else has done, than it is to create your own, especially with a film, because it is so very difficult and it takes so much dedication. I mean, like real dedication. So
Yeah.
to spend years on a project, for example, a feature film. Yeah.
We
and that
watched
doesn't necessarily mean
disUnity.
that it's good or that it's going to be relevant to someone else. I mean, if it's not, then they have every right to express their opinion about it, and that's fine. But I think we're seeing sometimes a little bit more than that, and it's usually based in perhaps jealousy, boredom, I don't know, kind of an angst, and it being easier again to destroy something than it is to build and create.
We're talking about hard work. disUnity, we watched it. It clocks in at just over 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
How many days were we shooting?
Oh, I don't know. Was it like 5? And that was just because we screwed something up or something or whatever. So.
Well, the next film shoot that goes perfectly will be the first.
Yeah.
Period. Anyway, it doesn't matter what your production is. But
no, we didn't. We just didn't get
was
everything I had in mind like one day, and went back the next month for an extra thing and whatever it was. So, but I think it was really like 3 real shoot days. But that's not including the stop motion, deal.
So all in all, from beginning to end, how long was the pre to post production schedule?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, a few weeks all in, probably. Yeah.
A few weeks. That's a few weeks for a 10-minute film.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Henry put in a lot of work to make
and hopefully a good
happen.
10-minute film. I also wrote the music. I put the music together. That's me. It's not all like live instruments, but the bass line that's playing throughout, that's something that I played it on a keyboard. I didn't brave the big string bass. We've got one of those around, but that would have taken me a little while to prepare for that. But still, and then the music that's playing in the shed when Anthony's painting, I put that together as well. So,
yeah,
and whatever the like little bits and pieces throughout, but like those were two things that I had to do. So maybe a couple of days on those. That was all fun. It was kind of like, again, this was fun, short, not so much of a commitment, not so many people, hoping that it's going to be a big deal or a success or something, and also just the idea of kind of putting it out on the Vimeo page for free and sort of a business card. Here you guys go, check it out, and yeah.
Well, there's a question Goliath asked here. Why do you make movies?
Oh, I don't really know. Hi, Goliath. I know Goliath. Goliath's a cool guy. Yeah, I don't know. I talked about it before, where it's kind of a childhood dream that I got away from for many years because it just seemed larger than life. It seemed like something that I couldn't get into, and playing music was an easier path for me at the time. But I was always thinking about it and obsessively watching movies. When I would find a movie that I would love, I would put it on the DVD player on repeat and watch it. Sometimes, this sounds crazy, but sometimes for days at a time. So Goodfellas would be playing for a few days, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or something, whatever I was into at the time.
Ghostbusters?
Maybe not that one, but I saw that one in the theater. And,
ouch! Just joking.
No, I was there for that. I saw Star Wars in the theater. I'm an old guy. I saw it when it played like the second time around. George Lucas had done some touch-ups in 78. Or maybe it was 77, but I saw it in 78. So I didn't see it on the original year that it came out. He touched up some of the trench fights, I believe, some of the special effects. So that was his first time doing that.
Yeah, see, I would have loved to have been able to see the original trilogy in theaters. I was not even a thought in my mom or my father's minds when the first one came out, or even the second one.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
maybe the second one, but I might have been like maybe a distant thought at that point, but I wasn't
Second
alive
was
yet.
1980. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Man, wow, what a weird thing. It was like it didn't exist, and then it did. You know, all those sound effects and all these things that everyone was seeing, and wow.
see, it's probably a good thing because of my sense of humor, with the whole reveal of Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker's father in Empire Strikes Back. I would have pulled a Homer Simpson walking out of the theater and just been like, "Oh my God, who'd have thought that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father?" Across the line of people waiting to go see the movie for the first time.
Oh,
But
right.
it's probably a good thing that I was not alive because
People
I would have
gasped.
been.
They gasped, man. They gasped. Seriously.
No,
It was
I
a
would have
big
like.
deal.
Yeah, see, it was like, I mean, I remember like seeing it as a kid. I was like, oh, that's cool because I was a kid watching Empire Strikes Back on the VHS back in like 1980 something for the first time. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Sure.
Having my niece watch it for the first time and sitting next to her and watching her reaction because she wanted to see what was so great about Star Wars and that one scene. And this is honestly, Goliath, I think, to answer your question about why people make movies, why anyone makes a movie, it is solely for the fact that, yes, well, because we want to make a movie and we have something in our mind that we want to get on paper and then get on film. But largely also it's because of the effect that it would have on a person. As far as what I was talking about with Empire Strikes Back, watching my niece watch Empire Strikes Back for the first time when she was 12 years old, I sat down and I watched the prequels with her first. And then I kind of skipped past the whole, well, I watched the first two movies with her. I intentionally skipped episode 3 because I wanted to see her reaction when it came to Luke Skywalker because I didn't want her to know anything about that. And she wasn't really paying attention. She was kind of like new, like Anakin, that's all. So, so when we got to Empire Strikes Back, she saw this scene and her jaw just dropped. Mm-hmm. And she just stared at me for like 3 minutes. And that look in her eyes, like, where like she was soaking this in and the way that hit her. I think even if George Lucas were in the room with us and he were to see this, I think he'd be absolutely proud of himself.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Because, what, like, I mean, 30 plus years later, his movies are still having this effect on first time viewers.
Right. Yep, they had an emotional weight about them. And by the way, thank you for answering Goliath's question because I totally didn't. I kind of trailed off. I'll think about that one. You guys sure there's a good reason I make films. Sorry, go ahead.
It's what I do.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. We don't want to turn this into the Star Wars podcast, but let's get back to your film. Now, there's a lot going on in your short film, even though it's 10 minutes long. Was there something specific that you wanted the viewers to take away from the film, or whatever you take away from it, you're happy with?
The latter. Yeah, it's really up to the viewer. I like it when the viewer has their own interpretation. I mean, I could explain a few things about it and just how it came about, but yeah, it's probably more important to have the conversation that other people just make up their own mind, and I don't explain it away too much. I try not to do that. Yeah, not to be aloof, but it's more like once I get started, I'll just give it all away, and it'll be kind of maybe flaccid and boring then.
How was it working with Josh?
Awesome. Josh is great. Yeah. We really had a good time, and it was really kind of an easygoing thing. I had overextended myself a bit, wearing too many hats, doing too many things as usual, but yeah, it was great. Josh is really a great guy to work with, and more people should hire him.
Thank you.
So is he going to send you your payment, Venmo, cash? How would you like?
It's because Henry and I do go back to I was there, to hold a boom or two for Shoot the Messenger,
Sure.
hanging out, cracking up, as I tend to do. And that turned into a nice little role for me in The Exchange,
Yeah.
which everybody should be watching. Shoot the Messenger in The Exchange, which
They are
led
on
to
Vimeo.
us. Yeah, on Vimeo. Check it out. The links are in the comments on all of the platforms. If you're not watching live on Facebook, what's wrong with you? Join us here every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. But we're going to head back to the chat for just a second.
Cool.
Goliath, to your comments, I understand. I don't know why I make music. I just don't know how not to make music.
Music or movies? Oh, wait. Goliath. said that?
Goliath, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, yeah.
Is that something that rings true? Is this, you get to the point where you're like, everything that you do is just, whether you think about it or not, related to the next project, the next film?
Yeah, yes and no. Yeah, I have so many weird little things going on that I step into, I wear the different hats. I'll paint for a few weeks. I'll be a writer for a few weeks. I'm doing the post-production thing or sound for 3 or 4 years at a time, it seems like. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to say that I'm thinking about it that way. Yeah. I don't really know how I think about it. I'll have to think about it. Sorry. No, I don't know.
So
I don't think I have anything to add to that.
we had a lot of fun shooting disUnity. Like you said, there was some cutting up, as friends tend to do when they hang out with each other. It was definitely you know what I'm going to say? It was a joyous time to come together and create something, especially of this
It was.
nature, where, like you said, the actual meeting, yeah, you have thoughts, but to leave it in such a sort of ambiguous way so people can sort of get their own thoughts and feelings as they're watching it. I have shared it with numerous people, some that I know well, some not so much, but all of them come back with similar questions like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And all I can do is say, okay, yeah, I'm one. I didn't write it, so I'm not going to be able to give you the direct answers you want. But
Right.
if I know, Henry, then perhaps you need to start asking yourself, what does this mean to me? And I think that's a very important point of view to have when you are viewing any type of artistic endeavor, whether it's movies or music or TV shows. So many people get caught up in the wanting to know definite answers and leave out the whole what's what I'm looking for, the opportunity to be a part of the creation by having their own thoughts and opinions on it. They want to search the internet and find out exactly what it means, basically, to somebody else.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that, that's all you're doing. You're getting somebody else's interpretations of what you watched. And movie watching is, no matter how many people you're viewing it with, it is an individual endeavor where you're gonna have your own thoughts and feelings when you walk away.
Yeah, hopefully.
So that's something we haven't covered on this show before, when it comes to how you view things, and the idea that critics and reviewers and basically anybody else that's going out there and giving their thoughts and opinions on something, it needs to be remembered that no matter what that tomato score says, no matter how many popcorn boxes it gets, no matter how many stars there are on the movie poster, it's all irrelevant if you walk into something and completely disagree. Because
Yeah, if
you're
it
the
speaks
only
to
one
you.
that matters.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. No, absolutely. I mean, it's yeah. I think you said it perfectly. Yeah, that's it. That's it, really. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
All right, we're going to go back to Goliath. He says, just a thought, I'm a novice in filmmaking, but did the soundtrack to a film. In that process, I couldn't believe how a director can shoot the scenes because they don't even mean anything yet until all the film, music, editing come together. I'm assuming that it takes a lot of faith to be a filmmaker.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotta have faith to faith to faith.
yeah.
I'm going to,
Maybe half crazy, perhaps.
it helps.
No, there's a certain way of thinking about it, and it's probably not even something I could explain. But yeah, you really can spread yourself too thin, and it's hard to keep it all in check. Doing things out of sequence, I think is what he's talking about, and yeah, that can be really complicated, and to keep the tones, the emotions of the scene, to keep all that anchored uh, the way that it needs to be, and steady. That's a kind of thing that you build up over time. That's a muscle that you develop. Hopefully, um, yeah. So I don't know if it can be really taught in school. It's probably something that you just have to go out there and do, and have your ass handed to you a few times, and then get back out there and do it.
Uh,
Have the audacity to do it.
I have a question about the film. There's a scene where Josh is covered in dirt. I was wondering, Did you just have him roll around in the dirt, or did you have
No,
a PA? Did you have a PA dump a bucket of dirt on him? How did
we
you
had
apply?
we had a makeup artist come out. It was actually Cynthia Roy, who has helped with my other films, and she was actually the executive producer of The Exchange. And Cynthia came out and applied the makeup to Josh and the mannequin. And thank you, Cynthia.
Cindy is always fun to be around.
I just thought he went in the back and just rolled around in the dirt and said, "All right, let's go, let's shoot."
Yeah,
So
we
she
could
did a
have
great
done
job.
that, but we wanted to do it right, and yeah.
Yeah, great job.
Well, Robert chimes in with, they disregard the journey, and isn't life all about the journey and who you become on this journey? Absolutely. Goliath, to your point earlier, says, good point. And finally, Robert adds, I will add that we are all born with all the faith we need. The thing that is important is to exercise that faith.
Word up.
Now, going back to Goliath's comment, and just coming from the actor's point of view, it can be difficult when you're doing page 30, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're starting out in the middle, and yeah, you've read the script, you get a general idea of what's going on, you still only have the words in front of you, and hopefully access to a writer, or hopefully the director has some of these deeper answers ready to answer for you, especially when you are jumping around, like you said, Henry, shooting things not necessarily chronologically. So you're
Mm-hmm.
not following the same character's emotional path. Sometimes it can be a little bit bipolar, because 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad. It's quite the ride, especially when you don't have all of the pieces, and you're performing basically at the drop of a hat, trying to get the right emotion for the scene.
Yep, that's the challenge. That's the
And yeah,
challenge.
that's where the faith comes in,
Yeah.
where you have faith in the team, the people around you, the people putting everything together, to make sure that you are doing exactly what you need to do to make this happen. That's why the WADcast, this show, is, the tagline is writers, actors, directors, and everything in between.
Yeah.
For honoring, because I think it's safe to say we all feel like there are a lot of people that don't get really any recognition at all for their hand in making movies happen. And Henry, you yourself have worn so many of these hats for your projects and
Yeah.
other projects as well. Why don't you think the little guy gets any credit for making, you know what, we're just going to go with, go for the big dog in the room. Why don't we know who
Right.
the stunt coordinator for the Marvel movies is, or the guy that's rigging the lights, or any of these people that really, without them, would bring a production to a halt?
Sure. They're all heroes. Well, and then we hear about them if they screw up, I guess, right? Yeah. Yeah. Or something awful happens, then we hear about it. But yeah, you're right. You're
Sure.
right. No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, it takes such a team to put a film together. When you're doing it, on a mass scale, on such a large scale. Yeah. All my pictures have been fairly small, but the team really does help, does count.
If Christian Bale yells at them, Goliath says, you find out who they are.
Yeah. Christian Bale. He's a good actor.
Man.
He's a good actor.
And when it comes to feature films, like I said, I've been on your sets, Henry, and you say it's, small set. Sure, comparatively speaking. But at any given point in time, there's, a dozen people running around doing something.
Sure.
Because you have to have the guy standing there, the person standing there, ready to go, grab the audio. You got to have somebody measuring the shot in case you need to pull focus. There's just so much minutia.
Yeah.
And there's barely any respect given to the ones that pull off these. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, if there is a ranking of importance of film jobs, directors, actors, writers, the top billing always. And no billing, you got the guys that are down there just doing the grunt work to make it happen. Like you said, they're all heroes, and they all make our trip to the theater possible.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
Now,
Yeah, quite often though, it is the director and the actor that gets the props and the accolades. Sometimes it's the producer, depending. Or
sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, we get back on to short films here. We know that a lot of great actors got their start with short films, but I want to know, you personally, what short films do you think people could draw some sort of inspiration from?
Ooh, wow, short films. Well, disUnity, a love story, obviously.
I should have. Yeah.
No, I've got a few that I wrote down, but I have to look through my notes here. Wrong notebook. I just saw a handful of Hungarian short films from the 70s on I've got the Mubi app, which is pretty cool. They show some fun independent stuff. And yeah, these are pretty wild. Some pretty wild stuff. So those were the last shorts I saw that really stood out. But yeah.
many
I'll have
years
to think
ago.
about that. And can I pause just for a second? I'll be right back, you guys. You guys chat amongst yourselves. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool.
Give me one moment, please.
I'll tell you guys, many years ago, I stumbled across this short film showcase on the IFC. We all familiar with the IFC here?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was one short film in particular that I absolutely fell in love with. And in fact, this was so many years ago that it could have been one of the very first short films that I took any notice of at all. Because when I was younger, I was one of those people that short films? Who watches short films? Let's skip that category when we're watching the Oscars. But it was called, I hope I'm remembering this right, it was called Jinx. Anybody familiar?
Yeah. Oh, God damn it.
For those unfamiliar, it starts off with these two girls playing a game in the schoolyard. And they do that thing, you say something at the same time, and then someone's like, Jinx.
Right. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Right. So the one girl jinxes the other girl, and like, you can't talk now. And then they flash forward like 60 years. And they're like, she hasn't said a word in decades because she was jinxed. And
Oh, wow.
her dying wish, maybe it was like 70 years. They were old. But her dying wish was to have that old friend from the schoolyard, the one that jinxed her, to come to her deathbed. And she's just like, please remove it. And that's a short film that absolutely 100% changed my view on short films forever, because that's the thing about short films. It's concise storytelling without, I hate to say the fluff, because there really isn't a whole lot of room for fluff in feature-length films either.
Right.
Because everything's got to make sense. Everything's got to move the story forward. But to do it in a matter of, 10, 20, 30 minutes is quite the task, because you are not only narrowing the view of the world, but you're really keying in on character. And in my opinion, that's the thing that really pushes short films to the next level of storytelling over features, because you have only so much time to build a world, build a character, and those are the only things that are allowed to live in it.
Yeah.
Hope I'm making sense.
Sure.
Because if I'm not, it wouldn't be the first time.
Oh, you're making sense. And sorry for the silence. Apparently, I had my mic muted the whole time, and my phone froze up, so kind of had to go back and fix that. But no, it makes perfect sense.
When you pulled, the Bad Agent project together, what's the runtime on that, Brandon?
9 minutes and change.
9 minutes and change. It's available on Amazon Prime. If you haven't seen it, check it out. We've only been talking about it for 2 years.
You showed me the trailer for that, right?
Yes.
For the so you trailer for the series, but
okay.
Yeah,
I saw something. Was I not supposed to? Did I get you in trouble? Josh?
Yes, I'm probably going to be castrated.
Oh, for the trailer for the no, it's like no, it's fine. It's honestly, I have no problem talking about it, but
this is professional stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem talking about it at all. But no, it's it's like so. What was the question about Bad Agent, Josh? Like I'm like, what was the context of that?
I was asking. Let's see the runtime. Right there was only so much time to really build who Simon is, and
oh yeah,
one of the beautiful things about that short you kind of figure out within the first minute the kind of guy you're going to be dealing with. And that's thanks in no small part to Brian Wallace, by the
Oh
way.
yeah.
Brilliant actor. Yeah, I said it, Brian, and I stand by it. How many times I have to I tell people to watch the short film, to watch Relish, um, and really enjoy his work and his ability to just disappear into his characters. But when I watched him portray Simon, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm like, this is it. This is he gets it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because mind you, a bad agent was something that you and I had come up with a concept of like a little short series, like back in like 2012 or 13.
Yeah, I was just
Um,
driving along in my work truck,
and we're
and
like we were actually talking about having you play the agent, I think originally, and
Mhm.
me being the kind of schmuck that gets stuck into all these deals, like spinning signs or something like that, or you know. I think one of my like, mind you, my ideas were a little dark. I think one of my ideas was like, I think him spinning signs for like an abortion clinic, and then we're like, no, you need to make it like about acting. But then when Brian came along, it was just great. But
Yeah, the simple idea behind it is just an agent that's bad at his job,
yep.
and
But
to
it's
be
like
able to bring that to life was it was immaculate.
but it's like I think like honestly with any kind of with short films, they do get a little bit of a stigma. There
They do,
is
yeah.
there is something that people say about short films about how they're not real films, and I challenge that because of the fact that you only have so much time to get someone to really care about a character. Excuse me. You have a limited amount of time to make someone feel something for a character that a feature length film has the first half, like the first act to do. Like you get to really get invested emotionally in these characters in the feature film, and it takes usually about 15-20 minutes for you to start getting emotionally invested in these characters. With a short film, you have maybe for a good short film to get its point across, you have 10 minutes, 15 tops. Beyond that, you're talking about like a TV pilot, basically, in my mind. People will disagree with me, which is fine, but still, for a decent short film, you have 10 to 15 minutes to really get your point across and what you're trying to get through. And so for you to write something and make it like actually, some people can really feel like, wow, I really kind of feel what that character is going through. I care about this character. That is so much more challenging to me than if I were to write like a feature length script and try to get people invested in characters after like 20 pages of a screenplay.
I felt that way going into writing a short, that it was going to be kind of a challenge, but it sort of wasn't, though. It sort of just, I guess because of the material itself. But I had those thoughts without a doubt, that this is going to be, condensing it all, and not being able to just take your time, and sprawl out over the course of an hour and a half or 2 hours. Yeah, I can see that definitely.
Definitely higher up on the difficulty meter.
It can be, it can be.
Well, just from a storytelling standpoint, I imagine still pulling together a full production is much more difficult work-wise.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I'm sitting there talking, and I'm like, dang, you just ignoring me? My bad. No, what I was gonna say is, I started out writing. I started writing features, and then I had some friends that say, "Hey, you should write shorts because we can get these made pretty easy." And I was so used to writing these long, being long-winded. I was a little intimidated. Like, how am I going to tell, the story? And then I just got good at. I mean, I think I like to say I got good at it. It took me a little bit, but then I started figuring out, and I I used horror as the way to get in it. It was
Cool.
easy to figure out how to kind of show something, create a problem, and then have the character go on a quick journey, and then there's like a twist at the end or something like that. And then I started, it became like I started figuring out, oh, okay, this is how I can get my voice in there. And then I started being able to write anything, thrillers or whatever. Um, Short films. This is how I feel. Like if you really want to be a real legit filmmaker, whatever that is, I feel like short films is a great way to start out. Right? It's almost like being in a cover band, right? But then at some point you want to start writing your own songs, you know? So I feel like if you want to go to the next level, I mean, it's a great way to start. But then here's a problem. Sometimes people who really want to branch off into more, they'll just kind of do short films. They'll just stay in that hamster wheel, of just making short films or making fan fiction. I'm not a fan of fan fiction, to be honest with you. I'm okay with it as long as it's kind of the beginning, right? But then at some point, I feel like you gotta, if you really are trying to do something, you want to create your own IPs, because at the end of the day, you can't really do nothing with it. So, unless what was it? 50 Shades of Grey, I think, started out as fan fiction.
Yeah.
So,
It's like a Twilight fan fiction.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah.
There was actually Twilight actually has a fan base, huh?
Well,
God.
really?
Well, I mean, good for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that stuff. I saw it. I saw it happening, but I kind of ignored it.
Let me ask you this question. So what is like your favorite genres of film? Like, do you have a favorite genre, and what are some of your favorite filmmakers and types of films?
No, I mean, there are eras that I really kind of cling on to that I love. Some of the classic Hollywood stuff for sure, but the silent era, I'll go through a kick where I'll just watch films that are really old. There's one that is going to be 100 years old next year called Haxan. I recommend it. Really interesting, wild horror film from the year 1922. So yeah, I'll watch something really old or kind of more classic Hollywood like Orson Welles era, going into like French New Wave stuff, the surreal sort of movement. I love the indie movement that was happening like late 90s, early 2000s. Of course, the 70s, the American scene in the 70s is highly influential. Yeah, and I don't really cling on to particular heroes as much. I mean, I can mention some of my favorite filmmakers, I guess, off the top of my head. Kubrick comes to mind, Cronenberg.
My favorite filmmaker.
Awesome. I love David Lynch.
Now, we're about to do a podcast. Just as a side note, we're about to do a podcast where we examine all of his films. So maybe we have you on.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Sure. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, so yeah, the list goes on, though it's probably not too dissimilar, from everyone else's lists. But yeah. I like to draw influence from other places, though, unusual places. The way a sunset looks, or a painting, or a jazz album, or something like that. Really, for sure, that's the kind of thing I'm usually thinking about whenever I'm coming up with my ideas, as opposed to really like, fanboying over particular directors or films. But yeah, I watch strange films, and old kind of quirky films, some guilty pleasures, some 80s stuff. Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
Okay, I have a really weird question, Henry.
Yeah.
And
Awesome. I like weird questions.
I know you have a deep background of music. and special connections to jazz.
Yeah.
Would I can't believe I'm about to ask this. Would you say that comparing jazz music to movie making, Robin Williams is the guy that you would call the jazz actor?
Yeah, I mean that's a great analogy for him. Sure, yeah, improv, wild improv, and just finding the moment and being daring. Absolutely, yeah. Just painting it right in front of everyone, and letting
That's exactly what I thought. Putting these
without a
two
doubt.
things together.
Damn fine
That
analogy, sir.
Thank you.
I mean,
I respect that.
I would have said Pauly Shore, but okay, we'll go with him.
Okay, well, yeah,
No,
Pauly Shore
Pauly
is like
Shore is
the new metal.
replaceable. Robin Williams was not.
Pauly Shore is the Limp Bizkit of movies.
maybe.
Don't get me wrong. I watch Pauly Shore movies and I listen to Limp Bizkit, so
He
that's
did
not saying.
well. In those guys, I guess they did well.
Nothing surprises me that you like Pauly Shore and Limp Bizkit.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. I have on my everybody that writes, I imagine, has some sort of notepad that they keep tabs on the ideas that they want to develop, or maybe future projects. I have on my notepad. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but it says I want to write a Pauly Shore movie.
Hmm.
You know what? Maybe that's why that talent agency was like, "Come back when you're serious."
Wow.
Probably.
True story.
You tell them that you are serious.
I did. Well, it wasn't because of the Pauly Shore thing. Okay, I'll tell the story. It's really quick. I was a friend of mine was going to a cattle call. People show up. I'm not going to name the agency, but they're one of the bigger ones. I went there just on a lark because he was like, I want someone to go with. You go with me. And I was like, okay. So I went. He was a guy, that I've been acting with for a while. And we got there and they're like, it was for models. And here I am, this heavy set guy. And they're like, walk down the runway. And I'm just there as a goof. So I pull a little Ace Ventura walk out and, do a little Zoolander turn, pucker the lips, give a wink, just really enjoying the moment.
You were owning it.
I was owning it. Why? Because it meant nothing to me. But it meant something to him. So, he took it seriously. He's a great guy. Well, I get approached by one of these people afterwards.
Hell yeah, you did.
An assistant or something. And they're like, I don't know what you did, but they want to see you again.
I'm sure.
I'm like, oh, okay. So they, schedule me for a meeting with one of their people. And, we do a little bit of chit-chatting, find out the things that I like. And obviously comedy was a big influence in the things that I do. So they said, what is your dream job? And I said, I would love to be a regular SNL cast member. And they looked at me like seriously, like I just farted. And they said,
Well,
how about you come back when you're serious? Like, it's a regular paying gig on national television. Why is that a bad gig?
I don't know.
Pete Davidson is like killing it with the dating scene because of this show. Colin Jost has Scarlett Johansson now. And I'm getting flack for
That show really
wanting
does
to be on
suck.
SNL.
That show sucks.
Again, being able to
Were they
do
trying to
comedy
get
on a
you,
regular
like-
basis and getting paid for it
Okay.
is a dream.
So were they just not into situational comedy on TV, or?
I guess not. That they considered SNL like the I don't know, the bathroom humor of the entertainment world, and they
Sure,
wanted
and it
somebody
is.
that
Yeah.
was like, I want to win an Oscar.
Okay. Well, that's awesome too. And I mean, yeah, I think that they're right in their world, and that you're right in yours.
And our worlds just
one
weren't
does
meant
not
to
have
be.
to diminish the other, you know. But it does take that kind of mindset, and I think that there's a little bit of that lacking. The kind of like my generation might have had more of the older brothers and sisters like on our case saying, no, this is crap, this is good. And that's not to agree with what they're saying necessarily, and there is nothing wrong with being a professional comedian who has a very successful career and is on Saturday Night Live or whatever. But yeah, I can see where you guys are. Sorry.
I mean, maybe it's like one of those deals where it's just not meant to be. Like, I mean, that's like one of those situations where, as you said, like, I mean, you're right in your world. Like, Josh is right, like where he is, and that person was right where they are.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, Josh, I mean,
get with your own thing. Don't waste your time with those people, I guess, huh?
Yeah, because I mean, it's like, like some people, like, I don't really care for Saturday Night Live. My girlfriend, she watched the entire thing streaming. She binged every season from season 1.
Right.
She saw a lot of Paul Simon.
That's like, I mean, that's what, like,
yeah,
that is what, like 40 years of television that she sat through in about like a month and a half. But either way, so don't know how the hell she did it. But the thing is that you have a lot of very, very, very A-list celebrities now that got their start on Saturday Night Live. So I mean, Saturday Night Live, while it is of a certain variety and appealing to some and not so much to others, there is no secret in the fact that it has spawned tons of career actors and comedians.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, Josh, you're like, a lot of the humor that we have in our stuff that you inject is much cleaner than what I put in. Like, I'll write stuff and you'll read it, you'll be like, Brandon, you can't say this. Like, well, it's funny. It's like, not to most people. So I mean, but like, and with your humor, when you put it in there, it works. So I mean, it's just like, honestly, if I say anything, you probably dodged a bullet, and your presence in that agency is their loss.
A funny wrap up on this part of the story. My friend also got the call back because he is an extremely talented individual, and he paid a lot of money to learn how to act because they wanted to have him take their classes. So I'm like, okay, so you have to pay for them to find you work? That seems odd. And then apparently, you know what? He actually does have a. I should get him on the show sometime. Sorry, I'm doing a little producing in my head here. Actually, I guess it's all out loud. Why am I
was going to say, we have a guest on the show right now. You're already playing the next guest. That's like being in a relationship and looking for the next girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Frankly, I'm insulted. No, not really. It's fine.
No. We all share our guests. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
Kente, have any final questions or thoughts before we head out of here?
No, I just want to congratulate you, man, on your work. I mean, as we all know, I think we're all creative people, so we know how hard it is to have to get something made. Just to have something made is difficult, and for you to be able to do it, and you did such a great job, and you had the you had to even work with Josh, so you had extra.
I am a bit of a diva.
It's not easy, man.
Yeah,
It's
the
not.
burden is
Believe me,
real.
we know it's tough, but you know. So kudos to you, and I'm just looking forward to what else that you have coming out because this was definitely a very good job, and kudos to you, Josh. Too, no, kidding aside, you did a great job, Josh.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I do have some critiques. The way in which you were handling that shovel, I would never, I would never handle a shovel like that. I mean, throwing it out there for your future acting references. You got to keep tight grip on the handle. And I just, in the words of Randy from America's, whatever the hell his show is that sucks. It's not for me, dog.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but he's right.
Let me
Fair enough.
explain something to you guys. You've never been this character before. You don't know what you're talking about.
Just it's just your shovel game is not on point. That's
You see
all.
what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Diva. Can't take
I don't need to take
constructive
this.
criticism.
I mean, it's okay though. You can't do everything spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not all me. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and hey, real quick, since we're talking about the short, shout out to my wife Heather, who was very, very helpful in the production and the making of this short film, and she did the voice of the mannequin. And in fact, she was the one that threw the dirt on her face. Sorry, spoiler alerts. Anyway, go watch it anyway. Yeah, and also my daughter, our daughter Sophia, who came up with the purple spider concept, and I went.
Huh.
So.
Okay,
It was a
before
family
we get out of
adventure.
there,
Yeah,
you mentioned Sophia,
I did.
and there was one thing that you told me, and maybe you want to bring it up for just a second.
Right.
Sophia's favorite part of the movie, or of any movie?
Oh, the credits. Of course.
Yes.
Of course. I had to think about that. I was like, wait, the spider scene? She did like that. But not as much as the credits. She watches credits. She really enjoys watching credits from films. She'll fast forward to the entire film and just watch the credits at the end. Listening to the music and reading throughout the credits and seeing who did what and who played which song and et cetera, who owns the rights to what.
When I first heard that, I thought it was absolutely amazing, and I thought it would be, thought it'd be worth
She's
sharing.
an awesome and unique human being, and yeah.
All right, before we get out of here, Henry, why don't you tell everybody where to find your work, as well as where to find you on the interwebs?
I'm on Vimeo.com/Henry Nader. I'm on IMDb, Henry Nader, and probably a few other places. Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, I have to ask. Any relation to Ralph? Any relation to Ralph Nader?
Possibly. We are both of Lebanese descent. I don't know of any specific relation, but it's a small world, and Lebanon's a small country. So yeah, I mean, I assume we're probably like distant cousins of sorts. I am related to Danny Thomas and Marlo Thomas. Danny Thomas.
Make room for Daddy?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And his daughter, Marlo Thomas, is still involved with St. Jude's. He was actually the founder of St. Jude's. So I'm pretty proud of that. He was my grandmother's second cousin, I believe. And I've got a photograph with them together. I never got a chance to meet him or Marlo, but it's still something I'm pretty proud to name drop every once in a while. But yeah, I know about that relation, but not necessarily Ralph Nader. But I totally wouldn't be surprised.
He just texted. He's gonna check the quality control of your of your shovel. So be careful.
Oh yeah, we'll get on that next time.
I do love me some Danny Thomas, especially way back in the day when he was Blanche's brother on the Pickersons radio program from World War II era.
Oh, awesome!
I think around there. And then TV came around, and fun fact, The Andy Griffith Show, a spinoff of Danny Thomas's show.
Yeah, I've heard something about that, and he was kind of involved a little bit with the Desilu thing somehow, or something. Yeah, you probably know more about this than I do. So that's
I'm
awesome.
a bit of a fan.
It's awesome. It's awesome stuff.
All right, Mr. Kente, where can people find you on the interwebs, and how many shows are you going to plug tonight?
I'm going to plug one show that you are on, sucker. It's called. Well, first you can get me at Kente F on Twitter, Kente Ferguson on Instagram. Of course, the website is theindyradio.com. That's INDYradio.com. And the show that is sweeping the nation, it's where this will be our third episode, is called Horror Flicks and Chill. And we review old and new horror flicks. Our first film was the Gone with the Wind of horror flicks that just came out. Halloween Kills. Anyone who's seen it knows why that's funny. And and we were fortunate enough to have one of the actors from the film, who was very nice, Michael Smallwood, came on and chopped it up with us. Our next film that we're going to review is a movie called Old by M. Night Shyamalan. And then we're going to get into some older flicks. But we kind of started out new for the kids, and then, go back in the Wayback Machine for some older films. So we'll kind of go back and forth.
You guys go back to 1922.
I'd love to. I would love to do that because, there's so many.
Haxton, it's a good one.
There's so many great films. But what's so funny about a lot of young people, though? They think a movie like The Martian is old.
No, sure.
Yeah. It's like, that's why you got that old movie on. I'm like, it just came out like a couple years ago. What are you talking about? But anyway, thank you so much for being here.
It's unfortunate though that we already know in the old horror movies that evil survives, because it wasn't until this year that evil dies tonight.
Yeah.
I still back that Michael Myers is doing a public service in Halloween Kills. That town is full of the dumbest people in the world.
Yep.
Oh. Mike, you do what you got to do, buddy.
You have our support.
Yeah.
Brandon, where can people find you supporting Michael Myers online?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, bjaxman82. That's B as in my first initial. Jax, JEXMAN 82. You can also find our podcast on there for the WADcast. You'll know it because you just punch in the WADcast, and you will see our profile picture of the black banner with the black picture with the white banner in it that says WADcast in it. But you can also find us on Facebook, the WADcast, which is just facebook.com/the WADcast. Same as always, the black picture, white band. Actually, I think right now it is I think we still have the Halloween thing up, so really need to get on that one.
Tower of Terror.
Huh?
I don't know. It looks like an old hotel.
That is the Haunted Mansion, or now the Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Disney. Tower of Terror. Sorry, I was corrected harshly by my gorgeous significant other saying that it was the Tower of Terror, and then called me a genius.
So I was right.
Yeah,
I was right.
Yeah, but that's really it. Now I can give you a link to my OnlyFans page, but I only have a page up. I didn't post any content, and no one really wants that anyway. So times are hard. Girls got to eat. But but you can also I am on Twitter. I don't really use it, but it's just honestly I don't remember my handle for Twitter. So that's where you can find me, and just go to our website, thewatcast.com. It will be getting updated soon. So yeah.
Cool.
Hey Josh, why don't you tell people where we can find you?
Oh my God. Okay, fine. Hey Josh, when you're not acting and being a literary genius, where can people find you on Facebook and on the interwebs?
Well, normally this is where I would go on a long diatribe about all the things that I do, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I'm going to keep it simple because guess what's back? Boom, SemicoreStudios.com. All the appropriate links are
Wow.
there.
You dropped that link.
It is the quintessential place to find out where to click stuff, about how to reach me, and you know, things like that. It's got the Twitch link, it's got the Twitter link, it has the store link, it has the Patreon link, and it has something that I'm calling Semicore Radio. That's right. A 24-hour a day radio network dedicated to, so far, 2 podcasts that are being aired on repeat. But this one's about to be added to the rotation, so it'll be 3 podcasts. Now, the funny thing is, I can play music on this thing. I just haven't added any to the rotation because I had a hard drive that was full of music, and it doesn't work anymore. So all of my music is kaput. So until I can find a way to build that library of MP3s back up, I'm holding off on, adding a bunch of music to the rotation when it comes to Semicore Radio. But you know what? If you want to donate some music to be played on Semicore Radio, hit me up on any one of the stuffs that are on the page.
Any plans for a radio show? You and I were talking about that a while back. An actual radio show. Any plans?
Always plans.
Always
plans.
Yeah. It's in the works. Yeah, the gestation.
It's very difficult to actually pull off. Apparently.
Of course. It's a good idea though, and something to keep in mind. Yeah, I thought it was really fun, cool idea. Something that should be brought back.
Me too.
Yeah.
I guess that leaves us with our final thought and making me a hypocrite in the process. Final thoughts. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. Me. God. I knew this would come back to bite me eventually. I have an idea to do something, and all I have to do is get off my butt and do it. And yet here we are, just delaying and delaying and delaying. It should happen. It needs to happen. Not tomorrow. It needs to happen today. It's not going to happen today. But it should. But the only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. Don't wait. If you want to write something, write something. If you want to make something. Kevin Smith said, technology is so democratized these days, anybody can make a movie. Anybody can make a song. Anybody can make it whatever they want. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good, but at least you did it. At least you could say you put a piece of yourself out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing stopping you is you. So stop making excuses. Start making content. And remember something.
Yes, indeed. There it is right there.
Absolutely. Love it.
Sounds like one of my notes from high school.
So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Henry, you are a truly special guest. We love having you on every single time. Hopefully
no problem. Let's do it again. This was cool. I had fun.
Doing a lot more of this in the future, maybe? Did I forget to ask for another acting job? Is it too late to ask for another acting job?
Yes.
I think I'm... Crap.
The next one after this one. Maybe.
Fair enough. Brandon Kente, always a pleasure, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, you too.
Nice meeting you guys.
Likewise, buddy.
Nice to meet you too.
Absolutely.
Speaking for me, I want to say have a good night, and we will see you next week.
All right. Thank you.